Hello and welcome to Tabletop Standard. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Ork Kill Tank, a model currently only available through Forge World. During the video we're going to take a look at the Kill Tank's datasheet, have a look at the model itself. I'm going to talk to you about what it's like to assemble this and paint it, have a think about what it's like to transport, and finally I'll make my recommendation on whether or not you should go out and buy yourself an Ork Kill Tank. So, as I said, the Ork Kill Tank is only available through Forge World. At the time of recording, you can purchase this model for a grand total of £138.50. So it is on the more expensive side. In terms of the datasheet, the Ork Kill Tank is a fairly beefy model. It has 24 wounds in total, it's toughness 8, strength 8, has a ballistic skill of 5+, and a weapon skill of 4+. It has some innate abilities. It has the Ork Here We Go ability and War ability, meaning you can re-roll your failed charges. It's also able to heal itself for up to D3 lost wounds per turn. If it explodes, it can potentially do D6 mortal wounds in a 6-inch bubble. And its Ram ability allows it to, on a 2+, potentially do D3 mortal wounds, and this is against any unit it finishes a charge against. So there's some potential there to do some mortal wounds, which is always nice, especially in 9th edition. And lastly, the Ork Kill Tank has transport capabilities, so in total you're able to fit 12 normal clan infantry models or 6 mega armor or jump pack models in the Kill Tank. In terms of the weapon options, the Ork Kill Tank comes with 2 weapon options in the box. It has the Burster Cannon, which is a 36-inch 3d6 strength 10 AP3 flat 3 damage weapon. If you're shooting either of the weapons on the Ork Kill Tank at half range, you're adding 1 to your hit roll, so you're potentially hitting on force, which again is very nice for orc shooting. The second weapon option is the Giga Shooter, which is a 48-inch heavy 30 strength 6 AP2 damage 1 weapon, which is the weapon option I've built my Ork Kill Tank with. There is some potential, I'd say, to magnetize these weapons, but it would require you to cut certain sections off the weapons themselves. It wouldn't be a simple case of just attaching a magnet to the back, and unfortunately I was too lazy to do that, so I've just stuck with the Giga Shooter. There was no particular tactical reason for that, I just think the Giga Shooter looks better. And I think, to be honest, if you were running this on the table in most games, unless your opponent was being slightly childish, you could probably get away with saying it was a Burster Cannon or a Giga Shooter. I'm not sure people are even able to tell the difference. Other than those 2 weapons, you have a Scorcher, which is just a simple 12-inch D6 flamer, the Twin Big Shooter, and the melee weapon, which is the Reinforced Ram. So this weapon comes in at strength 9, AP1, and is again flat 3 damage, which again is very nice. So there's some potential there to do a decent amount of shooting, as well as to get stuck in with melee. But moving on from the datasheet, what about the model itself? I think this is one of the best looking Games Workshop models, Games Workshop / Forge World models. I think it looks fantastic. When I run this in a list and take it to games away, the number of times people come over to the table to talk about the model, people love it. It looks fantastic on the table. It's a decent size, it has great details. Again, I cannot reiterate that in the flesh, this model is absolutely fantastic. Some of the key details that I love about it, you have these areas of exposed wires, which look super orky, and add so much character to the model. You also on the back have this really nice exhaust piece, which is sort of a separate bit of resin that I painted up separately and attached to the back of the model, which again looks brilliant. I think on the front you have this great sort of the reinforced ram. I think that looks brilliant, and both of the weapon options, but particularly the Giga Shooter, I think look brilliant. In terms of assembling the model and painting it, as it's a Forge World resin model, it is slightly more complicated than assembling your normal Games Workshop model. I would say you're going to want to leave about 2 to 3 hours just to prep the resin itself. So that includes cleaning, washing, and removing any sort of excess resin. I've built a few resin kits in my time, and this certainly was one of the more complicated ones, just in the sense of how many pieces there were to prepare. And again, with all Forge World resin models, there's always the potential for warping. This model, or my model, didn't have a huge amount of warping. Some of the sort of side panels did require me to put them in warm water and bend them back into place. And while I was actually building the model, there were a few panels that required me to sort of hold them in place or use elastic bands to prevent them warping out while they were gluing. But really, it wasn't too difficult. The most difficult part, I would say, if you are building this model, is the tank treads. Now, the tank treads are tiny, thin pieces of resin that, again, will definitely require you, I believe, to put into hot water or warm water in order to mould them onto the tyre wheels, onto the tank wheels. So there is some difficulty there. It certainly is on the more complicated side of models in terms of the assembly. It's not the sort of model you'd want to buy if you haven't built other models in the past. It is going to be a slight challenge. In terms of transporting the model, if you're thinking of taking the Kill Tank to away days, to tournaments, to public games, you need to bear in mind it weighs a ton. I haven't weighed it myself, but it's got to be at least a kilo or so. It is incredibly heavy. It's fairly sturdy, being made of resin, but there are parts of the model, particularly the flamer, and parts of the exhaust, that I would potentially even recommend pinning, because if they get caught on things as you're moving it around, they're liable to be snapped off. And in actual fact, you can see on the flamer, I've had to pin it after the fact because it snapped off during transportation. I tend to magnetize my models and transport them in metal cases, but again, with the Kill Tank, it's far too heavy to magnetize. I would recommend instead just putting it in its own box, maybe with bubble wrap, and transporting it that way. But you may have more luck with magnets than I did. So that brings us roughly to the end of my review of the Kill Tank. What are my thoughts about buying the Kill Tank? Should you pick it up? Should you buy it? Is it worth investing in? It's, in terms of its datasheet, it's not going to be the most competitive model on the table. It used to have some play in competitive lists at the beginning of 9th edition. It doesn't seem to get as much play now. What I would say though is it looks amazing. If you have the money spare and want to invest in a good looking model to use in sort of more casual games, but a model that people are going to come around and ask you about, take a look at, this is the model to pick up. It is brilliant. And that's all I can say. It's fantastic. I love it. I want to use it all the time, whenever I can. It's just difficult to transport because it is so heavy. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps. Leave me a comment about your thoughts on the Ork Kill Tank. Is it a model you've thought about picking up or thought about painting, or are you not too bothered? And again, leave me comments on any video ideas that you'd like me to cover. Cheers.